Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Soly here, final Sunday pod of the year. We're going to be shutting it down for a little holiday celebration here shortly. Joined by my guy, the clique himself, Mr. TC. Hello, T-Ron.
Hey, Soly. Apologies in advance for my nasally voice tonight. I don't know if I'm allergic to the Christmas tree or what, but
I think I got you beat, but yeah, maybe just allergic to the Jags being like a very legitimate team. Fair to say, I think at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm waiting on Neil's apology to James Gladstone and Liam Cohen.
So. Yeah, I'm blowing up my group text now while I can. It's fun at 11:04. DJ Pie is here as well. Hello, Mr. Pie Man.
Hey guys, I feel like I've been sick for about 6 months, and I finally feel like I got a clean bill of health. Maybe you guys got some sort of rare, pollen down in Guatemala from your trip that I didn't get to go on when my heat went out of my house. But I don't know. That could be what's going on.
We hit the rare 5 for 5. All 5 of us went down this week, and at varying levels. So yeah, it was a great one. But we're on a show for tonight. We're going to do some birdies and bogeys from 2025. It's kind of like winners and losers. We just felt like losers was a bit harsh.
Losers is tough. Some of these people are losers.
Some of the situations are losers,
but we're not going to say that.
We're not going to say what we're saying. Yeah, it's birdies and bogeys. Do not put those words in our mouths.
Highs and lows. You call it whatever you want.
A few odds and ends from the week, not the most news-worthy week, but then we have an interview on the end here that I hope everyone sticks around for with Mike McCartin from the National Links Trust. If you've seen kind of some rumblings in the news about what's been going on there in D.C. and the project they have going on, that is all the details you would ever need to know about that one. It's an excellent look into a really important place, important symbol, I would say, for public golf in America. And some recent unfortunate developments there, and hopefully some solutions on that. But please stick around to the end of that one. Winners from around the world. This is short. DP World Tour Jaden Shaper holed out for Eagle in a playoff to win the Afrasia Bank Mauritius Open. Is that a national open, TC? The Mauritius Open.
Yeah, I mean, Mauritius is a country, right?
Okay, I've never heard you declare.
I mean, I don't think it's an important national. No, I didn't say it was a BDE. Okay. I just there's there are mule national opens.
Alternate field national open.
On the PGA, Team Kuchar won the PNC Championship. I do not think we're going to be breaking that one down, guys. We did not dive deep into that one.
No, I have to put that one behind the paywall, possibly. But
is this the same Kuchar that got sent home from the state championship, the Florida High School state championship earlier this year?
I would have to assume so, but I refuse to dig into that, TC. That's kind of how I feel. Soly, before we get going, holidays are basically here, as people know. If you're scrambling for a last-minute gift for the golfer in your life, here's a great option. Won't have you worried about shipping times. A gift card to Titleist.com. It's always a good sign when I'm reading the copy and I'm like, okay, yeah, last minute gifts, don't have to worry about shipping time. I was like, that is a great idea
for you.
Titleist.com gift card is a great idea. Who doesn't need golf balls? Maybe a little upgrade to a new club, maybe get them a little, get them closer to a new driver, get them something. Titleist gift card is that is a great option. Has great features to explore, from the selector tools to dial in your game from tee to green, to the custom fitting locator, golf ball customizer, all kinds of things. You can buy the golf ball, get the mitts. We might not need the mitts. The mitts it looks like it's going to be warm. We might be getting some summer clothes here this week at Titleist.com. But head over to Titleist.com to learn more. Suffer for all weathers, TC, all golfers, all levels of skill, and the gift card is a great idea. Like I said, to just kind of help people chip away at something new they're looking to get for the upcoming golf season.
There's no better way to start you got to have a fresh couple dozen of balls to start the new year, right? And it's better than trying to guess what kind of balls the person would like to play. Get them the gift card, let them figure it out for themselves. All right. That's a great gift. So, all right, birdies and bogeys. What we're going to do, we're going to go around the horn. We each got 5 birdies. We each got 5 bogeys. And we're going to go around the horn. We kind of drafted these behind the scenes a little bit. DJ kind of peed everywhere first and put claim to a lot of them. TC and I were left to kind of pick up the crumbs around this one.
I left so many things intentionally that I'm like, I can't. Soly's going to want that one. TC's going to want that one. I thought that there was good scores out there if you guys were willing to dig for them. I resent that.
Deej is going to kick us off. Where are you going to go first? You're as we're recapping 2025. Who gets a birdie?
I am going to go controversial opinion here. First choice on the board. You'd think you got to go one way, but I'm going to go the other way and say Rory McIlroy. Maybe not the greatest statistical season. I think, Scotty's 4th player of the year. Like, I'm sure we're going to hear about that later. But man, when I think back on 2025, I'm going to think about Rory, and I assume you guys feel the same way. Obviously became the first European to win the Grand Slam, 6th person to ever do it. Got the Masters monkey off the back, broke the 11-year major drought. And it wasn't just that, it was like Pebble, starting off the year at Pebble with a very definitive victory, rolling into the Players, slamming the door there in the playoff, winning the Irish Open, being the absolute dude at the Ryder Cup, winning that on foreign soil for the first time in however long. It's just I don't know. It's the most interesting year I can remember outside of Tiger, like probably since Spieth in 2015, at least. Maybe more interesting than that. I mean, the guy won the Grand Slam, and it's just one of those that I feel like we kind of slept on at times, almost because the golf season's so long, first of all, and he just got a little out of sight, out of mind. Particularly like in the last few majors. I think it was just such a sustained burst, but it wasn't what Scotty did, where it was like, I'm winning everything and I'm winning 2 majors and this, that, and the other thing. It was a strange year, but when you look it up, when you like kind of total up the whole year, it's like, man, it's his year. He's the birdie for me.
No mention of him being strangely bitchy for a good like 8 to 10.
It's a birdie. This is the birdie.
That's right. It doesn't matter how you make the score.
Later.
Doesn't matter how you make the score, TC. No pictures of the scorecard.
I mean, one of the hardest things to achieve in the game.
No, I know.
Yeah,
and he kind of softened some of the rough edges a little bit the last 2 or 3 months too. Like, I feel like he kind of reflected and kicked his feet up a little bit, and then went to India and Australia and like traveled around the world and like, truly was a global ambassador for the game on top of it.
Yeah. 100%. And the Ryder Cup, I mean, I think we did our fair share of glazing after the Ryder Cup, but like truly some of the most impressive rounds of golf I've ever seen, considering the circumstances, considering the crowd, considering what he's up against, the opponents he's playing, like all of that stuff. It was just, I left so impressed by Rory after the Ryder Cup, and then you throw in everything else he did this year, and it's just, I mean, that's birdie in the opener, I think, right there, guys.
I don't know, what better time to do this than now. We're not going to spend this much time on every one of these, but over under 0.5 more Masters titles for Rory McIlroy. I'm putting you guys on the spot with 2 questions here.
0.5 or 1.5?
0.5, one more, 0.5. Like,
will he win one more?
1.5 career, yeah.
Okay.
Do you think he wins another Masters is the question?
Gosh.
I mean, he gets to play in them for the next, for the rest of his life, basically.
Yeah.
Feels like his game's gonna age well. Long swing.
I'll say yes. Yeah, I'll say yes. Why not? I feel like we've divvied them all out between now and 2052. There might not be any left, but
we need to get these things on the blockchain because there's such inflation. We just keep printing majors.
I think yes, just because if what he says is true, I guess you can cut this either way. Where he's saying that, like, I'm going to dedicate more time to majors. That's going to be my focus. You could either convince me that part of the reason he won the Masters this year was, his win at Pebble and his win at the Players and staying sharp throughout those. Like, you convince me that either he starts squeezing the bat too tight at the majors, or you convince me that he's, saw your favorite phrase, like he's freed up. And ready to go get it. So I'll take the optimist view there and say that, yeah, why not? I mean, Scotty's going to win the next 10 probably, right? But maybe Rory wins the 11th.
Soly, just to be clear, we're saying this is just the Masters, not like
just the Masters.
European Masters.
Interesting.
The Masters tournament, yes, the U.S. Masters as they call it overseas. I'm honestly so torn.
It's a good line.
It's a really tough one. It's a really, really tough one. I don't think he's going to be like freed up. I don't think it like opens the floodgates for Masters titles. I think there's legitimately some, as we saw on the back nine as he won it, some major scar tissue there, and I don't necessarily think that goes away just because he's got one. But but he should. Like, I think he should. But also the Scotty thing is a problem. I'm going to say
he's got Ludwig to deal with too.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a birdie or bogey for this year, but I'm going to say no, just because I think it was really, really hard. It took him 17 tries to do it, and I think he's got 8 or 9 good ones left, and he's got a massive Scotty problem in front of him. So
Scotty, but yeah, I don't know. We don't have to spend too much more time on this, but like I feel like a lot of those other guys didn't get any closer to winning a Masters this year, if that makes sense.
yes, that's a.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Scotty feels like he, yes, I'm going to be in position. I'm going to win the next 10 unless I get bored and decide to, go do something else with my life. But I don't think Colin took a step forward. I mean, Xander had injury stuff, but he had a weird year. And then who else? It's like JT.
Bryson.
I think Bryson would be the nominee. Yeah.
Rom, obviously. It's like Cantlay. Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of those other guys that 3 years ago I would have been like, oh, they're definitely going to win one. That I'm like, I'd like to sell some of that stuff.
Spieth definitely win 2 more though.
That's for
sure. So now we're out to what?
Get to 6,
39, something like that. Yeah, it's interesting. Watch this space. We will cover it. Whoever wins.
All right, I bogged us down there. Let's go to the next. TC, what's your TC? What's your birdie?
I'm gonna go with Tommy. Yeah, I could go LD, I could go whatever, but yeah, Tommy Roy. It's NBC really stepped up to the plate this year. No, I think Tommy, between not just the wins but the losses and how he conducted himself and acquitted himself and got right back on the horse, right back to it. And I don't know, man. Like I said it in the moment, when I was in Atlanta there, like that's why I watch sports, is Tommy losing in heartbreaking fashion to one of my least favorite players, like of the last decade at the Travelers. And then, going toe to toe with a great man in Team Rose at Memphis and getting his heart ripped out again. And then on top of that, just coming back and beating a limited field of 28 other guys, really. I don't think Sepp was there, right? So 28 other guys and being able to call himself champion golfer of the year, U.S. champion golfer of the year.
U.S. champion golfer of the year. Oh God, that's good. Not just the wins, but the losses is a lovely bit of phrasing.
Well, that
very unintentionally funny.
I know exactly
what you mean.
Sweeter,
no, I know
right?
exactly what you mean.
And
yeah,
he's I don't know. He's a freaking man. Like I think he played outside of Scotty. Like I would say second half of the year, like he played like the best golf of anybody in the world.
100%.
Second half of the year.
Yeah,
agreed. It was a big leap from an already very good player to getting the dub, and just the floor is so much higher for Tommy now, and he just kind of burst through a door that a lot of others opened up, which we'll get to. But it's
and then his caddy, tried to put Ted Scott in a body bag at the Ryder Cup too.
One of the 60 things I had already forgotten about that Ryder Cup. It's gonna be fun to revisit. Soly, what was your first one?
My first one is a co-award here. I'm taking 2 of them here, but the new leadership put in charge of the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour, they had great 2025s. Probably the easiest part of what they'll have to do is coming in, saying you're going to change a lot of things. In Craig Kessler's situation, he did change 2 things that I view as very, very, very important. One, overhauling the LPGA television production. Second one, moving the Chevron away from Carlton Woods, which was not a worthy major site. And we will see how all this stuff works out. That's going to be a 2026 thing. I hope the TV coverage is that much better. I hope Memorial Park is a much better major championship venue. I hope Brian Rolap is able to act on all the things that he's saying he would like to, and the things he would like to blow up. Again, the easy part is kind of the saying of these things. Doing it is a lot harder, but undoubtedly big birdies. I think that the vibe, especially, kind of being here in Ponte Vedra, like the vibe around the tour is totally different in a positive way. And it's there's some real momentum going forward. I think it's hard to picture, from what I like about pro golf, like a better nominee to get into that on the men's side. And again, I've just heard nothing but positive things on the women's side. So I'm stoked at where the game is headed on both the PGA Tour and LPGA Tour sides. Those are my birdies.
Soly, I ran into some tour employees the other night, and it truly feels like the Home Alone scene when Kevin goes down in the basement, or when he goes outside and he's like, I'm not afraid anymore. I feel like they're all like, holy shit, like, I'm not afraid anymore. We have real leadership. We know what our mission is. We know like we have confidence in what we're doing and that we have a plan. We're not afraid anymore. So
did you hear that? I'm not afraid anymore.
You want to snake it back?
We'll snake it. We're going to snake these. My bogeys for 2025, I just say just Team USA Golf. That is not the USA Ryder Cup team. I think it's just like, I don't know where to put the blame on this one. Again, so I'm using a very broad.
Just blame the whole country.
Are you including the Walker Cup team and the,
yeah, they got a dub?
That's unfair.
The Palmer Cup team,
the professional Team USA Golf. Again, I would say the leadership, but I don't know who the leadership is, right? I think part of the reason why I've been such a Ryder Cup fan has been this intrigue of like, can we do a U.S. Olympic basketball overhaul? And like, hey, let's start. We were obviously incredibly talented. Let's revamp how we do this. Let's take it extremely seriously, and let's come up with a plan. Let's execute it like over the next several decades. And just throwing all of that out the window to pick Keegan as a captain and have it go wrong the way that it did was just like, oh, there's no one in charge. Like there's no hope here. And like they should, if there's now a time to overhaul it, it's now. And from what I've heard, the captain's already been decided on for 2025, and it's not necessarily an overhaul move. And it's just like, man, and not to pick on JT, but the recent interview we did with him didn't make me think like, they're close to getting it. They're understanding that they're doing it wrong and need to change it. I think they're just going to kind of still run the same playbook back. And I think it's a massive bogey this year, and it's a tough scene. I'm definitely losing passion for like my rooting interest on that side, which sucks.
Lose yourself. What's going on?
TC.
Well, Soly, I've got one of those Team USA participants for my next bogey, or for my first bogey, really. Colin Morikawa. He had that weird deal at Bay Hill. He had 2 solo seconds early in the year. That was the best golf he played all year, and went out with a whimper. He went through half a dozen caddies this year, 5 or 6 caddies. He said, I don't owe anyone anything. After Bay Hill, and then he had that bizarre press conference at the Players, tripled down on it again at the Masters, just kept like compounding errors. Soly, we're making, it was not one really bad swing, it was just compounding errors. We just got to get the ball back in the fairway, right?
Kind of lucky to make bogey, to be honest, after all that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then he had his Ryder Cup comments about causing chaos and everything, and
were they trying to blame him for the crowds? Say like everybody was
win. Probably shouldn't have been
direction
on the
Morikawa.
He shouldn't have been on the Ryder Cup team to begin with. He only gets half a point. Just bad.
I think he was misused. Maybe use the skill that he has and set the course up to benefit Morikawa, but we can get on that later. But yes, bad year for Morikawa. I'm with you, TC.
Bad year.
That's a good one. I'll kick off my bogeys with just I don't know how you call it, like I'm just going to say the idea of playing 54 holes that apparently is no more. Said this, I think, when it happened, like pretty firmly, but I think we're so far gone in the discourse, the capital D discourse around pro golf, that we just can't really appreciate how funny it is that Live is moving to 72 holes. I think, it's like, it's not even fun to go like pull the quotes and be like, look, this is what they said. Like, these guys are full of shit, because like nothing matters, and everything outside the majors is kind of varying degrees of on fire right now. But I think the world's just going to kind of move on from this one, and people are going to continue to not watch 72 holes instead of not watch 54 holes. But I think I'm getting this one on the record, if you're listening in like 2032 or something, I just want to remember how funny this is that they moved away from this. They fucking named the league Live after the Roman numerals for 54. Everybody's talking about how it's okay to take this money because they want to spend more time with their families. They're doing somebody was doing all the math about like this, how many more nights at home, because we're only playing 54. It just makes sense.
Who wouldn't want to work less for more money?
There was so much growing the game talk. It was just like, it just rules that they're now just like, no, actually that was never a core part of the league. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
They called it innovation. They called it innovation, moving from 54 to 72 holes.
The name of the league is LIV.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just a tough one, but a very funny one, I think.
Remember how like it just this off season too, it was just sad how just nobody gave a fuck if Siwoo Kim or Sungjae were going. And they drummed up the fake news that they were going, and apparently Siwoo was close and blah blah blah, and it was going to be the massive big deal. And then it's not a big deal that they're not going. Like they just don't.
Well, no, I saw Flushing. It was posting on X, the Everything app today, that talks are back on Soly.
Oh, interesting.
No, but Siwoo already posted on Instagram playing the PGA Tour. So again, like,
yeah,
it's just so freaking. It's not even like funny anymore. Like we. It's hard to do the same. It is, but it's hard to do the same thing every week and laugh at it. Because like, if you guys wanted to, I would be down for it. But I feel like I'm kind of like the one putting the live stuff on there. And you guys are like, all right, it's time to fucking move on. But it's still.
I went to another live event this year. What are you talking about?
No, but I mean, like, just reiterating how stupid they sound this week, which is every week. But like, recently, what did Scott O'Neill say? He said something like, PGA Tour has more depth beyond 25. But like the top 25, I've compared them. Like the fields are similar. It's like Liv has 3 of the top 25 players in the world, not OWGR, like actual top 25 players. And PGA Tour has like 22 of them.
I mean, but Scott O'Neill.
Am I supposed to let that go? Am I supposed to just let that?
US. They own golf outside the US. The PGA Tour owns golf inside the US.
Yeah,
big story.
US champion golfer of the year. All right, let's take it back. In better news, I would say the antithesis of this news. I'm going to say my next birdie goes to the Walker Cup. Lot of things in golf, maybe everything in golf, I think is done basically just purely out of optimization at this point. Where can we make the most money? Where can we do, sell the most merch? Which honestly, like maybe Cyprus in this conversation, like maybe that is optimization, where it's like the people who care the most about the Walker Cup are going to care the most about going to Cyprus and are going to buy the most merch. And it does make business sense. But the point of that is like, what a lovely marriage, right? Of interest and an event and just something that's like, what would be the dream is if we did it this way and then it actually happens and they do it that way. And you get to see incredibly high level golf, some of the best golfers in the world genuinely playing on the least visible, most interesting, one of the least visible, most interesting golf courses in the world. Phenomenal. It allowed me to see Cyprus for the first time. Obviously, that's bumping it up my list. It was very cool to be there in person with both of you guys. But that's pretty much as good as it got this year for me, was going to that event.
Deej, I would say another benefit to that is I think we've just firmly identified Michael Lasasso as the villain that
person of interest
desperately need.
Yes.
Moving forward,
I will be subscribing to your newsletter, my man, and I would love to see what you're up to. Yes, such a good call.
TC.
I will say Birdies. I'll say Scotty Scheffler. I don't think we need to belabor it, but birdie there.
I honestly thought we might just let that one go and just be like, that one, that one was too easy. We've done the Scotty thing this year. Too many, it doesn't
really good
honestly,
year. Really good year.
I think he deserves better than a birdie. Honestly, I think it might be selling him short there to call his season a birdie, but not a ton to add there. I'm with you, dude. I got 3 unexpected leapers. I'll be brief on one of them because I know DJ.
These parlays you're doing here. You're stacking all these into one thing.
Is this what it feels like when I do that?
TC way.
Exactly. I was like, dude, man, TC's supposed to be doing this.
I would in this category, I got Ben Griffin, JJ Spawn, and Robert McIntyre. There were some voids left by some of the top players in the game. I'd say nobody took advantage of that better than Ben Griffin did. He was 41 in the Data Golf rankings to start the year, finished the year at 5th. He won 3 times, one of them being a team event, but won 3 times this past season, made the Ryder Cup team, was close to winning other tournaments as well, just like a massive, massive, massive leap. JJ Spawn, I'll say, I think this is going to come up later.
I'll just defer mine later. We can just do it. Let's just do it now.
Okay. He was 77 to start the year, made his way to 8.
Not only that, Soly, he didn't even play a major last year. Literally didn't even play any of the majors. And he won the fucking US Open this year.
And almost won the Players.
Yeah.
Like, it's just an incredible run. Robert McIntyre also almost won the US Open. He went from 23rd to 11th. Not the same level of leap, but like in my mind, went from like, all right, kind of like this is a nice little story to like, this player is way better than I was giving him credit for in previous iterations. And the thing that stuck out to me about all 3 of these guys, mathematically, I don't know if they are the three biggest leapers, but they are all doing it without loud tools, like without like distance, without, insane, iron play or anything in particular, or just kind of fluky putting or something like that. Just really well-rounded all-around games. Griffin has added speed kind of on the second half of the season that paid dividends and kind of lined up really well with a lot of success he had. But again, just like not massive prospects, not, JJ Spawn pretty far into his career as well as this happened, was just like really, really, really impressive. And flagging because like, I mean, just mathematically and logically, like unlikely to sustain, I think, at all these levels for these guys. But I'll be seriously intrigued to follow each of them in the next year to see how long they can sustain this run.
Yeah, only thing I'll add on the JJ Spawn front that I had in my notes was he was very open about some of the confidence stuff, I think, and like where his head's been the last couple of years. And then he shows up in that playoff against Rory and like just looks pretty outgunned, and even though he had kind of turned stuff around, it had a nice season up until that point. It was like those kind of moments can go one way or the other, right? Like that would have been, it wouldn't have been shocking if that was the high point of his season. And instead he just keeps rising and goes and wins the US Open, almost wins a playoff event, and just kind of doesn't really have the big hangover either. Like played really good golf the rest of the year, and his iron play rose like crazy at his best putting year of his career. And it's just kind of one of those like, yeah, it pales in comparison, obviously, to Rory and Scotty and Tommy and all these other great stories of the year, but it's a moment of appreciation for JJ Spawn for sure, because it's those types of careers. I don't know, maybe just as I get older and older, I think I tend to appreciate those types of people more and more who kind of continue to reinvent themselves.
Soly, pretty telling that you didn't put Sepp Straka in there too.
That is
Won
interesting.
twice this year. Doesn't have loud tools. I think.
I already thought quite highly of Sepp
the top 10
prior to this year. I wouldn't consider that as big of a leap. So that is telling of like how highly I already thought of Sepp, the West Coast MVP, if you remember right. Just to
that's true.
Again, flagging like where JJ Spawn was to start the year. He was 70s. Mac Meisner is the 78th ranked player in the world right now, like in data golf again. Imagine that guy being in the top 10 at the end of the year and winning a major next year.
Going and win a major. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Daniel Berger's 77. Like, that's kind of a confusing one in terms of he's got a history, at least, of being a really, really good player. But yeah, Sebastian Munoz, Chandler Blanchett are kind of in that range. And like, that's the lead that JJ Spawn made. So back on to bogeys, guys, it might be equitable stroke control with a bogey for the PGA of America. It's not a great year.
Just put me down for a 5, man. Yeah, I would have made that one. Just put me down for a 5.
I mean, the whole Don Ray situation, he probably could have garnered a mention or a vote on his own. Probably don't need to revisit all of that. I'd say just Quail Hollow and Valhalla back-to-back. Unfair of me maybe to include 2024 in there, but like we don't really have the venue selection down. We also really don't know what we're talking about when it comes to the rollback. Derek Sprague made some outrageous comments on claiming not to have been involved in conversations around the rollback. Choosing Keegan as the captain. Granted, that was a 2024 decision, but that was laid bare in 2025 as to how silly that whole thing was. Being insufficiently prepared for the Ryder Cup at Bethpage, despite like a decade of warning of all the things that are guaranteed to go wrong if you don't take this seriously.
It was kind of their lack of
both on and off the course.
Lack of willingness to hit range balls just all showed up when the tournament started this year, I think. Because you're right, like a lot of this is just like 2020, 2021, 2022 stuff all festering, and it all just kind of showed up on the tee this year.
I mean, Soly, how about the fact that I won right underneath their headquarters?
Of course, go watch our club championship video if you have no idea what TC's
spoil that if that's the case.
Referring to
Heather McMahon situation, that wasn't great. Like it was a comically bad year. And yeah, again, this is
justice
probably
for Heather McMahon.
I love that nobody put Don Ray outright on this list. It's truly equivalent to like Scotty. We're just like, yeah, I mean, we've just talked about it
we
so
know
much.
that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, we don't need to do that one.
Yeah.
I went to his LinkedIn and he hasn't posted since his new level, new devil thing. And then again, he was a pretty chronic poster on there. He did update his personal website with his kind of State of the Union address from mid-November at at kind of the PGA Summit there. But otherwise, he I think he's been sufficiently muzzled.
God,
This is
new level, new
unfortunate
devil.
for people that make content for a living. That's a tough one. TC, your next bogey.
Just the mules generally. I feel like they just keep taking L's, and whether with the upcoming schedule changes, the revised board of directors for PGA Tour Enterprises and FSG and SSG. Is it SSG or SGS? I always forget. SSG, Strategic
Sports Group.
They, them getting their hooks into the tour, and I just think like even some of the mules over on the DP World Tour are unhappy with some of the U.S. mules coming over there and hoovering up some spots. So it's tough. It's tough.
Invasive mules.
Just again, always just tough. Again, worth emphasizing for the people that aren't as good at golf as the best players in the world. Like it's tough.
They're a persecuted class. So.
It is tough, admittedly, just to be of the 30 million people that play golf, to be like between number 82 and like 200 is like, what a fucking joke that guy is. It's like that. Yeah, that is a tough spot.
No, they're not
to be,
jokes.
They don't
they're
have
only jokes if they talk out of turn.
Exactly. Yes. Well said. Well said. Does that bring it to me?
It does.
Maybe recency bias here, but this one just was in my notebook. I'm gonna throw out kind of the Callaway Topgolf situation. More Topgolf, I think, on that front. Just a weird rise and fall compared to where Topgolf was a few years ago, as we were, was constantly being flagged and touted as like the future of golf by people, and kind of seems like it's ended up being a little more novelty than having any actual connection to golf. If you missed that news, Callaway just sold, I think, the majority of their share, like 60% of their share, for basically like 45% less than they paid for it 5 years ago. And just honestly, a weird situation all the way around.
I think they would maybe consider that a birdie.
Possibly.
They were able to get that much for it.
Yeah. I think
their stock price is up pretty drastically the last 7 to 8 months.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And I don't know. It's a weird one, because like I have fallen for the novelty of Topgolf. I've been there many times. I haven't been there in years and years at this point, but it's one of those that I'm like, yeah, man, I like the idea of different entry points into the game. I'm not trying to be a snob at all, but I'm like, man, I wish that all this time and energy and effort was connected to like real golf, is kind of how I end up feeling. And a little bit of this is, yeah, just like, what did you think was going to happen? It's like, what if we took bowling, but we made it ungodly expensive, and it's like, well, yeah, everybody's kind of done it 3 or 4 times now. And yeah, I'm good. I think I'll just watch a movie or go do something else. And so it's just I don't know, just kind of checking in contrast to where we were probably 5-6 years ago with a lot of that conversation.
You compare that to like Dobson Range
exactly,
and the AstroTurf putting green they have there, and that setting, and like how that is attracting golfers, like repeat visitors. Like that's the whole thing that's missing from the Topgolf model. Like there's still a space in the market for something like that, but it's got to cater to hardcore golfers.
It's possible maybe so many people got hooked on the game at Topgolf that they just started going to real courses.
Possible.
Maybe
it's the game.
Yeah, maybe the game just got so big. I don't know.
Well, Deej, if you want to hear about people, doing actual stuff to grow actual golf,
sure, please
stick around to the end of our episode.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Well, I was going to say, I think it kind of leads into your next birdie as well. I had JJ Spawn was my next one, which we already covered. So,
well, I was going to say another L is just I know Don Ray. I think he has a Top Tracer range, and he's kind of parlayed his
the Top Tracer ranges are sick. I like those. Every time I go to. Yeah. Every time I go to one of those, it has like the Top Tracer technology at a range is great. I don't need to be hitting it into, I don't know. I don't need to be like, it doesn't need to come with $43 mozzarella sticks. It's like, I just kind of want to hit balls and like know the data and where it's going. I think
my wife problem. She wants to take their family to Topgolf.
It's so expensive.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
I never know whether to bring my own clubs either.
Or glove. Soly, are you glove the Top Golf guy?
I do not have to answer that.
Legally,
I do
I'm
not
not
have
required
to.
to
I'm
answer
not.
that question.
My lawyers recommended I not say anything on this matter.
All right. Well, DJ, JJ Spawn, yeah, well earned there. Great bird. I'm gonna say the Australian Open. We talked about it a few
Really?
weeks ago, and it's back. I think it's back, and it's definitely back for 2026 as well. Going to Kingston Heath, and I think I don't know. It's like the perfect November December event to have on the calendar at a great golf course, and it hadn't been to Royal Melbourne or really a golf course of any consequence in a long while. And I'm stoked for the ladies to have their own Australian Open here coming up in the spring as well. Of like the whole co-ed thing just didn't work, and it dumbed it down on both sides. And I'm glad to have like 2 proper national opens instead of 0 down there.
Yeah. No notes, TC. I'm with you.
Birdie, this is an easy and quick one. Again, just kind of continuation of what they've built in the last several years. But CBS just continues to stunt, man. And I thought they had a great year. I just was generally like reflecting on this year, and I'm like, what did I like look forward to doing? What did I like enjoy doing? And it was like, man, their tournaments on Sunday, I legitimately jazzed to watch, which I would not say is the case like 4 years ago. And I'm just
4 years ago, I felt that way about NBC.
Yeah,
where it was like when they had some of the bigger stuff and it the right crew and all that stuff. Like it is, yeah, it's just totally flipped. But that is how I felt, I think, back then.
and that is the flip. Was my next bogey was NBC, and just specifically what they did around the Ryder Cup. I ran a quick straw poll. I forgot to like clarify. I meant NBC only, so like UK folks got to vote in this, and they love their coverage over on Sky. 92%.
Love your coverage. You can keep your coverage.
was awful. 92% around, like you get 92% of the country to agree on anything. All in agreement that they're just like legitimately potentially ruining the game of golf for like the next generation of fans. They're not trying. They're not trying, and there's no indication that they will. And they get a massive bogey.
Can we? I'm going to go back to the previous whole review your score. I want to dig into your birdie, but can we also add CBS adding Johnson Wagner this week as well? I feel like is another massive step in the right direction and a huge positive. I think he's going to be electric and just exactly what you're looking for out of a golf commentator. So that's continues to add to that birdie, Soly, make it look even better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Happy.
I think Colt's grown a lot. I think he's turned into a like very above average announcer. And I think Johnson and Dottie on the ground is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Dottie's, at the peak of her craft.
Yep.
So, guys, I snuck a mid-round par in here. It didn't really qualify for either birdie or bogey. It was totally a mixed bag this year. That's the Cleeks.
That was a total bogey. Wait, didn't they finish like 11th out of 12 teams?
Well, they did on course. They finished 11th.
But you forget about the off course wins.
Yeah. So
the rebrand.
January 2025, they unveiled their brand evolution. This is, Jonas Martinson, the guy that came from, I believe, Minecraft, tapped global experience agency AKQA to create an updated brand positioning, identity, and design that embodies their desire to pay homage to the beauty and tradition of golf while embracing the future of the sport. Then they brought in my guy.
Admittedly forget about that part, TC. You're right.
Jacob Fellender for the Read Between the Lines collection. He's a renowned artist. He joined forces with the Cleeks to bridge the worlds of golf and art, reimagining the game through creativity and innovation. All sorts of VR and AR, pushing the boundaries of artistic expression through the lens of golf. That unveiled at Live Golf Miami. I was there to see that as well. And then we had a Public Drip. We had that collab as well. What else?
Was the bag this year or last year?
The bag was this. Yeah, they had the very expensive
like $25,000 handbag or whatever.
Yeah, that was very
Maybe
cool.
not
They
that
had the garden party. stuff as well, which was captivating. And yeah, just generally speaking, I think we've got a good one in Victor Perez.
Yeah.
Obviously a trying year. Blandy did make the cut at the PGA Championship against all odds on maybe the worst course like in the world for him, Quail Hollow, and he made the cut. So, more to come from the Cleeks. You haven't heard the last of the Cleeks. All right.
Are they better franchise Vic Perez, I feel like, right? You can't let it. I mean, you can't let him leave.
No, I mean, he just got here.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They didn't sink their claws in. I mean, that's the only thing they got going for him. TC, we can take that offline. Talk about that on Cleeks Talk behind the paywall. I think it's your pick as well. Bogeys.
Oh, okay. It is. Yeah, that was a good par though. Let's see here. Bogey wise, I'm gonna say John Rahm. Just disappointing. Just not, I need John Rahm playing well in the majors. I need John Rahm relevant. I need the fiery Spaniard to be the fiery Spaniard.
Wasn't he the player of the year on Live?
I think he was.
Didn't win though.
But he didn't
even win though. Yeah. It feels very, very hollow. So it's just like talking about it before the Masters or before the U.S. Open, and you're just like, man, like, all right, like, or really even before Portrush, Rahm is going to show up at one of these, and it just didn't happen.
Very disappointing. I'm with you.
Just reading into the record, his major championship results from this year: T14 at Augusta, T8 at PGA, T7 at the U.S. Open, T34 at the Open Championship. That's like, that's
good finishes, but not competitive.
Had a chance at the PGA and pooped all over himself coming in there, and then it wasn't really close to the U.S. Open. Masters, there's like 50 guys in the field. T14 doesn't really do much for me, anyways.
It's a limited field event.
Bogey for me, I'll say golf Twitter. I think we've been trending.
RIP.
I think we've been trending this way for Golf X, trending this way for a while, but this feels like the year where the spike really kind of got driven in the heart of what used to be a pretty great thing. And I think they've made it very clear that they're interested in kind of catering to the dipshit carnival barkers. And it just is not a great place to hang out. Pretty overwhelming to even log on. I think it still can be very functional as like a one-way conversation. I still do occasionally. I love seeing what you guys are posting. I love seeing like a couple other people that I'm following. You catch a random tweet here or there, but I mean the comments section of below everything is a disaster. You got to scroll through 50 car crash videos to try to see anything that is of use. It just it's just a kind of a mess that's not very fun to hang out with, which is a bummer because it's responsible for many of my best friends in the world. Is kind of where I met them. So it's just kind of a bogey, I would say.
It still has its moments, but it's mostly dead. Yeah.
It's just tough that you get rid of the get rid of the timeline, like the timeliness of it, and you get rid of you amplify all the worst voices in the world. It's just it's crazy that it's what happened has happened. David Roth, I remember, wrote for Deadspin forever and writes for Defector now. I remember he wrote like when the changes really started happening, he wrote like kind of like a retrospective on Twitter, and he always used to refer to it like a house party. It was like, it was just a lot of people just kind of hanging out, and occasionally you'd walk into like a weird room and you'd be like, these people are kind of interesting, and you could either back out or you could learn more, but you could mostly just find your people. And
bless up.
Yeah. And he's like, now it's kind of just a house party where like everybody just puts their finger in your chest and backs you into a corner and just screams wrong or what way worse stuff.
Even when you're not wrong. That's the best
just
part.
Constantly. And I'm like, I don't think I would hang out at that house party for very long. I think I'd probably just leave. And that seems to be the tack that many people have taken.
I'll tell you what one of those fun house parties was Dart's Twitter. Soly just this week said he's been, like Birds, he's been looking at getting into darts.
I love it. That's great.
Who's the guy? I forget his name now. I'll look it up. He comes out to Bulletproof. I got the Bulletproof darts walkout. He's got like an electric walkout. Stephen Bunting. That's my guy. I don't know if he's good or not.
Darts had
Michael Van Gerwen's my guy.
Yeah, they had a serious moment over the last couple of years here. Anyways, that's what I had.
It is a sad one. All right, last 2 rounds. We can go through these quickly.
Sure. Birdie here for me. Let me just say up front, I feel 1,000 years old saying this and grouping this into the phrase that I'm going to say, but that is YouTube golf, guys. I think this is again, it's been building and building and building. None of this came from nowhere. I'm well aware of that, but it feels like the year that this absolutely popped in a massive like mainstream, I guess is the way, but like the mainstream feels so disconnected from it still. It's just a very weird thing, but it's a couple of things that I found in my research. The Internet Invitational videos, I did something like 25 million views, and that's without any of the reactions or the reactions to the reactions to the reaction. Like just I think the main videos I think I read did something like 25 million views, which is insane. And that outperforms and dwarfs so much golf that costs so much money to televise and produce and market and promote and set up. And it's just bananas, man. And it also, I think beyond just the views, like, because the views are one thing and, whatever, it just feels like inescapable, right? I mean, you hear people talking about it genuinely constantly. You see freaking LeBron is tweeting about watching George and Wes Bryant and Grant Horvat, and yeah, it's just to a lesser extent, then you had like another round of Creator Classics and the Live Duels, and like clearly trying to glom on and roll these things into legacy products to mixed results. It's just I don't know. It's fascinating, and I think a lot of it is not for me. I'm perfectly, I think, content being kind of an old guy on the sidelines, wishing everybody well. But it is just so clearly one of the biggest macro stories in golf, and I don't know how else you can say it.
Can I read one thing into the record, Deej, just because I see this commonly troped out there? The mad scientist at My Golf Spy made this mistake recently as well. Just for the counting of the views is very different than television counting of views,
course,
right?
Of course.
I saw this. The Internet Invitational outranks every golf event of the years. No, golf TV ratings are like an average of viewers over that period of time. If you counted up all the viewers, it would look a lot different, like all the views count on YouTube. That is not to say that 25 million people watching that is not a massive fuck ton of people. It's insane. And you're right. Like it's so massively popular. Bryson's videos are so massively popular. Him being on there, I feel like has elevated the entire space and just like added a level of credibility to it all too.
There's so clearly more people watching him play golf on YouTube than watching him play competitive golf week to week. And that's one of those things that's like, you almost become like the frog in boiling water where you don't realize like it's happening, I think. But it's almost one of those things that you'd feel like you'd be like, man, eventually this might flip, And it's like, no, it's flipped already. It's over. Like it's crazy how many more, like in the Bryson example, I'm saying, like it's crazy how many more people are watching that than Live. Yeah. Which costs $5 billion fucking dollars to put together. It's
saying $7 or $8 billion.
Sure. Yeah. Throw it on the pile. Anyways, it's just I don't know where it's going or what the future holds or anything, but it has to be fascinating.
Yeah, I'm gonna go off the board here, because I kind of saw it happening in real time, but I didn't really circle back to see quite how. It's kind of similar to DJ's frog and boiling water thing is the Japanese women on the LPGA tour. They won 2 of the 5 majors this year, with Mao Saigo winning the Chevron and Miyu Yamashita winning the AIG Women's Open. I think they won, let's see, 6 times overall. NASA won, Yamashita won the Maybank. You've got the Northwest Arkansas Championship really doesn't count. They didn't really even play that, so we won't count that for Minami Katsu. But one of the EY twins won in Portland, and then the other EY twin won in Mexico as well. So and then Ryo Takeda won the Chinese event, the China event in March. So you've got that many, and just looking at the world rankings or leaderboards week to week, they are kind of bumping up against the South Korean ladies as far as dominance goes. And just as I was looking at this as well, again, throwing out the Northwest Arkansas Championship, because I think they only played like 1 round. There were only 3 U.S. winners on the LPGA Tour this year, which is crazy. There were 4 Swedish winners this year. It's a country of like 9 million people.
Yeah,
where they can play golf, 7 months a year.
I feel like that's deserving of a bogey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the Chevron finish you mentioned was maybe deserving of a birdie. Not the greatest
birdie and
tournament I
bogey.
know, but God,
birdie
what
and a quad.
Electric finish. Yeah, that was awesome.
On a somewhat similar note, TC, a birdie for me is Gino Titcomb. Absolutely outrageous year. She had won 3 times, including her second straight CME Group Tour Championship. She cleared the 3.0 like strokes gained amount that like Scotty has cleared on the men's side. She's over a shot clear of everyone in the world, not named Nelly and Minji. Obviously the hole on the resume is the major. She basically won one this year and got extremely unlucky with Grace Kim's chip in at the Evian. It was a massive leap for already one of the best players in the world to like very clearly the best player in the world. Coming off Nelly's 2024, like that did not really seem like this was going to be possible. And just a far and away the best women's player in the world. And I think the major comes next year. I think it's just,
I will say, like, caught some flack on the socials for questioning her major record. And it's like, all right, she's like in year 6 of her professional career. Like you're the best player in the world. Like that's where the expectations get higher. Right. Yeah. And not even really playing that well in the majors, much less winning them. So.
And I get it. She's only 22. She'll be 23 by next go around. Like that's not old, but that's not the same as the men's side. Like it's not equivalent. And the windows are tighter on the women's side. We've seen that historically. So it's time. And you get 5 per year. And then only get 4. Yeah, it escalates things. For bogeys, I was thinking men's side when I say the American quote studs, but you can lump the women in there, TC, with as well with the stat you threw out there. But I think if you go back to like, let's say 2021, the people that we would have considered to be like the stud players on the American side, we have like JT, who he won this year, but like regressed as the year went on and is now hurt. I mean, who knows how tied those two things are, but like pretty big question mark on his at least short-term future here. And I would say that's not a good trend for him in 2025. Spieth was fine coming back from the injury, but like not a stud, like not like the Spieth that we were hoping him to be. He wasn't nearly as bad as people made him out to be, but like far from being a reliable week in, week out competitor. Xander had a pretty meh year coming off like his injury. Cantlay has regressed to just kind of being not irrelevant, but not part of the story on the golf course. Morikawa, we covered that one. Like that was
Cantlay's more back office.
Yeah, he's working too much, man.
Big step back. Max, of course. I mean, he wasn't really 2021 level stud as we were thinking, but like coming off 2023 Ryder Cup, but we have pictured this happening for Max. No, it's just, man, pretty big vacancy left that was kind of tying into what I mentioned earlier about the likes of Ben Griffin and JJ Spawn stepping up to take these spots. It's been just a not good trend. And yeah, Scotty's hoovering up a lot of these, but a lot of these guys they're not being competitive with him at all.
Which I think it's really interesting. Maybe people aren't as interested by this, but when you have someone like Rolap come in and it's like, we're going to change media stuff. We're going to do more follow doc type stuff. We're going to really blow out these superstars. It's like, man, all the superstars have kind of laid an egg for you, man. There's not that many of them that are like, they're getting less interesting by the day here. It's kind of Scotty and Rory and Tommy, honestly, and it's other than that next tier down is becoming less and less interesting, Soly, because of the reasons you're mentioning.
Yeah. TC.
I'm gonna say Wyndham Clark, just generally. I think US Open gave us some serious fireworks down the stretch there. Just thinking back on, I need to go rewatch that final round just generally because that was a highlight, but I think a low light was just Wyndham Clark's behavior at Oakmont, and even really predating that, his behavior at Quail Hollow when he threw a club at
Slipped
a
out of his
volunteer.
hair.
And then T-Mobile did an activation with it back end, and then he didn't really apologize to Oakmont and could be banned for the last year of his US Open eligibility there in next time it's held at Oakmont. So we'll
Oakmont's
keep
getting a
tabs
little
on that.
Oakmont seems like they're maybe getting a little mileage out of that. Well, I feel like I've heard that more than I maybe should have. But yeah, there's a
That's
good
just
one.
being friends with TC. You keep hearing that.
I will say TC, this brings me no pleasure, but I think it was maybe a tough year for your boys on the Champions Tour.
No, they're
Just
they're self-sustaining.
I don't know, man. It just seems like they're in a precarious spot. I don't know how much
Cat's coming.
I don't know how much their
True.
stock you know, that kind of feels like their hope is Tiger, the guy who, like, I don't know if he's gonna swing a club again, what that's gonna look like. I know he's trying to get more explosive in the gym, but it's just is a weird one where I think, like, you bring in the guy who's like, we're gonna be all about scarcity, profitability, all of these things, and I feel like some of the Champions Tour guys are probably like, oh shit.
Yeah, they cut their pension.
Cut the pension. They got rid of Q School. I think they're just at a very, like, what is the point of this thing? Is this supposed to be a meritocracy, or is this supposed to be just like trot the boys out there for a couple names, for an entertainment product? And how do you keep that from feeling like a bad, like, trading card show at the mall? It's just I just think it's an interesting one. You could maybe make the case that maybe there's an elevated, refined, polished kind of Champions Tour that fills in the gaps on some of these, like, PGA Tour. As the scarcity hits the PGA Tour, maybe you can, like, lean down the Champions Tour and get some names out there for some fun stuff in smaller markets. But it just seems like a weird one for them.
What if they had the Champions Tour guys? You pluck 25 of those guys and they play their own flight.
Like, at the tour event?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Maybe I didn't even think about
event.
that. I mean, yeah, well, you might as well have the Corn Ferry guys out there too,
Yeah,
right? Just
yeah.
do, like, 3 tournaments at once. That's real, streamlining. Just get that dialed.
I don't know. I mean, it's, no offense to the Stephen Alkers and Matt Gogels of the world, but it's tough when you see some of these leaderboards sometimes.
It is,
This
and
thing
that's
was like started with like Jack and Arnie and Trevino. It wasn't designed for Stephen Alker.
well, it is tough though when it's like, that's what I was reading more about the Q School stuff today, and like going back and reading some of that stuff, and it's like it's kind of hard to keep these guys out, man. Like, if these, some of these, the Scott Perrells and that type of guy is like, yeah, I'm gonna turn it on in my twilight years and just start beating the brains out of these guys. It's like,
It is really like
they're
pull
literally
back.
just
Like,
gonna be like, no, we're gonna keep those guys out. Sorry.
yeah, Q School for the Champions Tour. It's like supposed to be, all right, the guys that everybody grew up
Career
watching.
was Q School.
Yeah. Like, do we need Q School for this? Like, not everything has to be a meritocracy. We don't have to take this that seriously.
I agree with you.
What a class this dropped by there, Deej.
I'm sorry. I've just had to call some balls and strikes there, TC. Final birdies round, I think, here. I will this is probably, you could probably be a birdie every year here, but I'll just give it to the Kaisers largely. I think they continue to stunt, push all the right buttons. Sedge Valley's up and running at Sand Valley and is awesome. Commons coming online soon with there. Rodeo Dunes looks awesome. Can't wait to go see that. But also working on, like, smaller things, right? Maybe some of this is just being here in Wisconsin, but the Shoot Park stuff down near Racine, I've mentioned a couple times, trying to spruce up a awesome little 9-hole piece of property there. Glen Golf Park in Madison looks great. So I don't know, just seemingly, continue to push it on both ends of the spectrum, the Bandon Sand Valleys of the world, and developing more of those types of properties. But also, I think it'd be very easy to sit in Chicago or wherever and kind of watch the money roll in from being booked 8 years in advance at Bandon Dunes. But instead they kind of tend to be picking some other projects and trying to raise the floor on some more community focused, spots and projects as well. So I think golf's, without being trite, golf's lucky to have a family like that. I think
100%.
that's willing to kind of do it at both sides.
Amen.
Stewards of the game.
Speaking of another, not a native Illinoisan, but someone who I've just come to greatly respect. He is low ball speed, but he accomplished one of the most
lowest
impressive
ball speed.
things
Quiet
I've seen
traits.
this year. Brian Campbell winning
Yeah.
twice.
So sick.
The Mexico Open presented, at Vedanta World. And then, of course, the John Deere Classic, which what a fantastic event for someone with Illinois ties to win and to do it in the fashion that he did it, to beat Aldrich Potgieter, hitting one off of a tree on the 18th hole, the 72nd hole of the tournament. It was thrilling to watch it, and then to win again in the same season and validate. I mean, it's like Martin Trainer times 10 level stuff.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Team Rose.
Huge.
He almost fucking won the Masters, man. He lost in a playoff to Rory. Like, holy shit, what an incredible Sunday that was. Won the FedEx St. Jude in the playoffs. Went 2-1-1, I think, in the Ryder Cup. Stepped up. I think if I remember this right, didn't he play an extra match because when Hovland got hurt, he stepped up and played a bonus one? I forget if that was him or not. Anyways, at age 45, sticking around, not going to live when that's what all his buddies did, and accomplishing what he accomplished this past year. It was just like massive, massive, massive year for him, and gained a lot of fans, I think, in the process.
I think Team Rose is my 2025 TC Man of the Year.
that has legs. There has got to be a Man of the Year every year.
Gotta think it's gonna be one of those things where there's like 6 or 7 Men of the Year. Probably, I would have to imagine.
No,
wait, did I give it out already? No, well, he's getting one too. No, he's getting one too.
If you can do one per year, I will support this for the rest of your career. That is
Team Rose. We'll have a ceremony, maybe out of Pebble.
Over Tommy.
Over Tommy.
There we go.
Team Rose
already.
He's just
great Man of the Year.
Team Rose. What he accomplished just in turning my own opinion of him around over the last 24 months. It's absolutely remarkable. Team Rose, my hat is off to you, my friend. You could have left for Live a long time ago. You're probably going to play your way onto the team at Adair Manor, and I just immense respect for you.
On the other side, speaking of opinions changing,
golf Twitter.
I mean, look, we were all bullish on this thing, but Sable Offshore, it's just taking a turn for the worse.
Oh, it was up 48% overnight the other night.
Yeah, it's down 66% on the year, TC. Unfortunately, we're of course referring to Phil Mickelson. Just like going from being one of the legends of the game, like ignore the fact that he blew up professional golf for his own personal gain. Like he doesn't even seem to care about that anymore. Like all he cares about is just like being an online troll and saying like some truly disgusting things online, like filleting North Korea. And I'm not going to go tweet by tweet, but it's just like,
we got time if you want.
Watching this dude turn into like Bob Estes on steroids has been like a really a really bad development.
God, I forgot about Bob.
Bob Estes should have taken steroids. Late career surge.
Not a good 2025 for the general manager of the High Flyers.
He also joined YouTube Golf.
That's not really tied to the success of that team, but I don't know. Maybe T Daddy's 14-inch cock might turn things around for Phil here in the back half, or into 2026, but we'll see.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Soly, Sable Offshore is up 61% in the last month.
Oof.
So
okay. I will apologize. That was after you publicly declared that you wanted to get in on it, and you didn't.
Yeah, that I'm long. He did long Sable Offshore.
Not like T Daddy.
I know. I didn't know where you're going there.
That I don't think Phil's cost basis is gonna reflect that rate that
that growth
there though. Yeah. My last bogey is Jay Monahan and Greg Norman. Hit the bricks, guys.
A collab.
Yeah. Like you guys, like go hang out in Colorado together. Get out of my face. Like just exit stage left. I mean, Monahan making $200+ million over the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years of just over what he's overseen. Just an incredible destruction of value and just equity, I would say. So good riddance, my man.
So that's a little bit like when you were talking about, Cantlay and Xander and Max, and man, who could have like really seen this coming? This is one of those, if we would have went back 3-4 years, be like, hey, what if I told you Jay Monahan and Greg Norman, they're not involved anymore? I'd be like, yeah, I think that tracks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that actually, I could see how that makes sense, actually.
Norman lasted longer than I thought he would.
For sure.
What an outrageous exit interview he did with
So good.
a month or two ago.
Last one for me. I was gonna give it to Happy Gilmore too, but I started thinking back on some of the seeds. I was like, there's a couple moments in there that actually did make me laugh. And Neil being the TS age, I was like, that's pretty good too. I don't know. I'm not willing.
Still haven't watched it.
I'm not willing.
I will,
You're both
I'll never
like
watch it again.
I will never watch it again either, but it does exist, and there's that. Instead, I'll give it to my goal to make 100 birdies this year. I made 57, which is light, guys, and especially after hearing TC say, "Would you make like 239 or something like that?"
Yes, I think it's like up to it's up over like 250 now.
Yeah, I just didn't.
I played my 100th round of the year on Friday.
You played the amount of rounds that I was trying to make birdies, and I just it wasn't even close. So just a bad goal. Didn't get there. I was pushing, but I'll have to wear that one.
I might make a birdie. I might make up a goal to make more birdies than TC next year.
It's great.
It'd be tough.
It is fun. You play a bad round or something, it does keep you hanging in there for the whole rest of the. I get a lot of texts this time of year from people be like, "Hey man, I just hit 100." I'm like, "Fuck off! I don't care." Like, no, the
problem is
because of the pod. I'm like, I don't care. I made 57.
I play some alt shot stuff at the club, which obviously that stuff doesn't count. And then actually Friday we played the kind of the Santa scramble. It's like a 2-man scramble on the Lagoon course, which is like the
Operation Santa's naughty list.
It's like Greenskeeper's Revenge setup, but from a mix of tees. So you'll be playing one of the par threes from like 68 yards between a possible pin or various stuff. But it was so much fun. The Lagoon course is like it's not long, but it'll twist you up in knots.
A couple other odds and ends before we get to our interview here shortly. Did you guys watch the Golf Channel games, the Optimum Golf Channel games, whatever they were called?
I caught a little bit of it, and then actually when I was up playing golf on Friday at the club, it was like there was like 6 guys just talking about it. Like some of the olds that I play with,
kind of slapped.
They were raving. They were like they were having fun out there, man. Yeah. They were just so I went back and watched more of it, and I loved the relay. I liked the 14 club challenge. Clanton hitting 192, 193 ball speed. It was fun. It kept moving. I liked it.
It was a birdie, if I may say, in terms of like, all right, Skins game didn't really hit. The match, I probably would never watch another one of those again. Like, I know they're trying stuff. This was a dub in the trying stuff category of like, yeah, I want to see Scotty like try to blade a lob wedge like 170 yards. Like I want to see them hit a lefty shot. I want to see, I think there's still a next level of skills game challenges. I think there's something you could do around the players, kind of turning that into an all-star game. If there's a true like, take the 10 best drivers on tour and do that grid game and see who wins like the driving title, who could hit the biggest fly. I don't know. There's so much fun shit you could do, and that was a good test case for like those guys being bought in and having fun. And it was really long, but just that was good TV. I hope it.
That was the other thing. I didn't watch it live, so I was able to skip around and that sort of thing. Also, remember when Bubba refused to do the long drive contest at the PGA?
That was sick.
That was sick. I just want to note, Siwoo Kim and Ryan Gerard made the trip to Mauritius, and they got Masters invites out of it. They earned the world ranking points they needed to stay or get inside the top 50, stay inside the top 50. That's, of course, via VC606 on Twitter. But, man, hoovering up points at the end of the year, it's kind of like the people booking flights to maintain their status near the end of the year. They went there and got it done. So congrats to them for that. And Rory won the Sports Personality of the Year, which is apparently a big deal over in the UK. But golf has not been treated kindly in that category, and that was a nod to his career achievement for this past year. So,
God, Soly, you're gonna have so many Brits in your DMs just being like, explaining the history of that and why it's a big deal.
Yep, hit me up at Tron Carter NLU. I'll take all of the history there.
Tag me on Twitter. My favorite comment that I saw in the Club Championship video was just TC and Ryan Gerard, hottest players in the world right now, which I did really enjoy.
I mean, I think Ryan Gerard, like you don't really have to go take those mileage runs anymore. You can just buy them these days, which I feel like is a
Kind
little
of
bit
bleak.
cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole like credit card spend stuff and all of that. But props to Siwoo and Ryan Gerard for. I think Mauritius seems like a really nice place too, so you can turn it into a holiday vacation.
Amen. Before we get to our interview here to close things out, TC, why don't you tell us about our friends at East Sands and what we're up to there, what they're up to, and how listeners can benefit from that.
Yeah, speaking of vacations, Nick and Haley, couple from Vancouver, reached out probably a year ago now, and we actually kind of dropped this partnership on the pod. What last week or a couple weeks ago?
A couple weeks ago, I think.
And yeah, they've been like, man, we had like crazy good, feedback from that and traction from that, and it really resonated. And so hey, I'm super glad because I think these guys definitely um, resonate with us and just kind of run parallel to the way that we think about trips and travel and why we travel and where we like to go, stuff that we like to see. And so Nick and Haley moved to St. Andrews a few years ago, spent 6 months there. Nick caddied, and it was just, kind of a transformative experience. They started a travel company right after that. And East Sands Golf was born. And so they've played all over the place in the British Isles and in Ireland. They've got some experience in the Netherlands, mainland Europe as well, and then even in Australia too. So basically, I would say official travel partner of NLU, official tour operator of NLU. Yeah, they can certainly help you with 2026 trips, but it's probably definitely 2027 as well. I think 2027 get ahead. Everything's busier than ever, especially over in the UK and Scotland. So get on those tee sheets as soon as they open up here in February, March, April for 2027. And yeah, their philosophy definitely aligns with ours. So a couple of really good perks. You can save $500 per person off any trip if you're a Nest member, and that's repeat uses allowed. So that's anybody on your trip. So if you're booking a trip for 8 people, and you're a Nest member, that's $500 per person there. And
It's
then
insane value, by the way. Like it's
yeah,
an absurd benefit.
and then the first 20 people to book through our partnership, the NLU East Sands Golf Partnership, can save 10%. So that can be combined
Can
with
be
the Nest
stacked.
member
Stacking
discount.
codes.
Yeah, yeah. So eastsandsgolf.co/NLU. Again, that's eastsandsgolf.co/NLU. And yeah, give Nick and Haley a call and set up a meeting with them, and they'll figure out what's important to you and then craft an itinerary for you. So
TC, introduce what we have coming up here next to wrap up to, this week's episode and wrap up our year on the No Laying Up podcast.
yeah, kind of surreal to say that. Great talk with Mike McCartin, who's a native Washingtonian, I would say, and one of the co-founders of the National Links Trust, along with Will Smith. Mike is a golf course architect by trade. He and Will, worked for Doak for a while. They got to know each other at University of Georgia, getting their masters in design and landscape architecture. Will's, of course, he was involved with the founding of several kind of top 100 golf courses, as well as runs Outpost Club. So you're very highly competent individuals who this is kind of their life's work, is creating like world-class golf experiences. And I think for them to dedicate their professional abilities, like, they've been operating the 3 courses for National Links Trust, Langston, um, Rock Creek, and East Potomac for the last 5 years for the National Park Service. And for them to kind of pour themselves into this has been a cool journey to watch. And it's been pretty dispiriting over the last 3 to 6 months to see just some of their work being called into question, or just generally kind of doubt and challenges being thrown their way from various policymakers in DC. So a lot out there in the news here recently via Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg and New York Times, just regarding the administration's plans for potentially, they've said NLT is in violation of their lease agreement for the 3 golf courses. Haven't told them why. Haven't told them really like how to resolve that or anything. So we kind of set the stage of, I think this is an important story, not just for DC, but I think just generally speaking for golf across the country. These guys have done it the right way as far as, fighting through red tape and, getting permitting and planning and fundraising dialed in and all of that, and making it affordable and accessible, and at the same time efforting to make these courses world class too. And to see that kind of, just see doubt cast upon that is tough, because I think that this could be an awesome example, an awesome template for the rest of the country at large. So.
Yeah, without any further delay, we'll get to that interview here shortly. Want to give a quick thanks to everyone for tuning in over the course of the year. We're going to shut it down a little bit on the podcast front here into the new year, as we usually do. We got a lot of great stuff planned for 2026 as well. I only ask this once a year. If you want to go on to your favorite listening app, throw some 5 stars in there. Maybe leave a nice comment for TC in there or something.
Try to get one of those Man of the Year awards in there.
Yeah, if you try to get one of those. We always do appreciate and always tell a friend if you enjoyed listening to the show and think somebody else might listen to it, might enjoy it as well. Feel free to forward that on. But without any further delay, here's TC and I's conversation with Mike McCartin. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you back here next year. All right, welcoming in Mike McCartin. Mike, why don't we start from scratch? Tell us about the National Links Trust, your guys' project, and we can get into kind of some of the current developments there.
Sure, yeah. National Links Trust is a 501c3 nonprofit that my co-founder Will Smith and I started in 2019. We did it specifically to respond to an RFP from the National Park Service for a long-term lease for the DC golf courses, which are East Potomac, Langston, and Rock Creek.
Why you? Why is this something that you were eager to do, and what's special about these particular locations?
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up in Arlington, Virginia, so just across the river from DC, and East Potomac was the place where I learned to play golf. When I was a kid, probably 8 or 9 years old, my dad would take me and my brothers, and he'd sit us behind him while he hit range balls at East Potomac and give us a Coke, and we would sit there and watch. And it was a way for him to get my brothers and I out of the house and give my mom some time, without us. And, eventually I wanted to play. So I picked up one of his clubs, hit balls. Then we moved from the range to the red course, which is a par 3 course there. From the red course to the white course, which is an executive length course, and eventually to the blue course, which is the full length 18-hole course there. And, something about that really sparked an interest in golf for me. After that point, I think by the time I was 14, I think I had read every single book on golf architecture that there was. And, I kind of attribute that to the idea that East Potomac was this blank slate of a golf course. It's really flat. It's on a peninsula in the Potomac River. There's not a lot of golf features left. Like, there's not a lot of contour. There aren't a ton of bunkers. The greens don't have a lot going on. What it does have is an incredible and welcoming atmosphere, and it's just a really great place to learn the game. But as I went and saw other courses, and you kind of add the topography or bunkers or whatever, I think that was the spark that said, I really want to know more about golf courses and design. And then eventually that led to me working for Tom Doak for 10 years, building golf courses. I went to the University of Georgia, where I met Will Smith, my co-founder, in the landscape architecture program there. And so it's really been I think it's kind of like my origin story in golf traces back to my time at East Potomac with my dad.
So take us to the National Links Trust, and you described what it was technically, but what is it at its core? What is the mission, the goal? And I think we've shown particular interest in it just because this is a DC related story, but it is hopefully a model that I think can work in a lot of different places around the country and around the world. So kind of take us to kind of what your mission is and who's involved with it, and kind of the status of projects there.
Yeah. So our mission is to preserve and protect affordable and accessible golf and positively impact community. Again, I think just like taking this to the personal, my view of what golf is comes from my time at East Potomac, right? It's like, it is a place where anybody can pick up a club, You get that ability to go from the range through the golf courses there, but it's really like the gateway to golf for so many people. It's the place where people learn. It's really close to where people live, so it's easily accessible. And so you get this like great population center, great location. And this is the type of place that grows new golfers and builds a love for golf. And I think that story is repeated all over the country, right? At places like this. So it's definitely something that has commonality all over. And I think golf is a healthier thing if you have places like this, building new golfers, getting people into it. And they're really important to the ecosystem of making sure golf, thrives into the future. So as we look at National Links Trust, we want this to be an example of how communities can invest in these types of places to improve the facilities while still keeping them affordable and accessible and welcoming and inviting places to learn the game. And, that kind of takes back to like when I was in grad school at University of Georgia, I ended up writing my thesis about affordable and accessible golf. And I used East Potomac as an example for that because, like I said earlier, I looked at it as this blank slate. And my thought was what I wanted to write about was that there's no reason why affordable golf can't be great golf. But the important thing is if you make it great, it doesn't have to take away the affordability and accessibility, right? It can still be that. It can still be a place where people get exposed to the game, but that can be a really interesting, intricate course, right? Or from an architectural perspective, while keeping that community centric approach that these places have really thrived at over the years. And so as we look at our projects here in DC, we have the ability to make these courses a model for what other public investments can be in municipal golf and show the importance of this, especially being national parks in the nation's capital. They kind of are symbolically important as well. I mean, East Potomac is part of the National Mall, so it's like what better place to have something that like represents what golf can be as a resource for the rest of the country.
Mike, how do Rock Creek and Langston fit into the project as well?
Yeah, I know I'm focusing on East Potomac because that's my story. But what's been the best part about this is getting to know those other courses as part of the project. I mean, we've spent the last 5 years really digging into those communities as well, and the golf courses, but also the people that play them. They have each incredible histories and incredible properties and potential. And so, like at a baseline, the same story applies. But what's really cool about it is, in DC, these courses all represent kind of a different, population of people. East Potomac is fairly close to Virginia, where I grew up, so you get a lot of Virginians going there. Rock Creek is in Northwest DC and kind of draws from that area. And Langston is on the northeast side of the city and draws from PG County in Maryland. And all of those things kind of draw, a lot of similarity, but also differences in terms of the people there. And I mean, I'd love to get into all of the historical detail, but I mean, just to start a little bit, like Langston was founded because of the work of some like incredible golfers in the city in the 1920s at a time when DC was segregated. There's 2 black golf clubs, the Royals and the Wake Robins, that were playing on a makeshift course on the grounds of the Lincoln Memorial. And that area ended up getting too busy to support like all of the different uses, including that golf course. And it eventually got shut down by the city. And those 2 clubs fought for a golf course for black golfers in the city for 10 years and eventually got Langston built. And it was the second, I think, 18-hole golf course built for black golfers in the country. And it has this ridiculous history of, people, pushing for the rights of black residents of the city, investing in the course, and eventually becoming kind of the home of black golf in the United States. And those 2 clubs, the Wake Robins and the Royals, are still playing at the courses today. And I'm skipping over just a ton of really, really great stuff there. But that's just one taste of the history at these places and the communities that have been built at them.
So take us all to kind of what the work you guys have done over the past several years. Who else is involved in, kind of this mission that you mentioned of architecturally significant? I don't know if that was the word you used there, but interesting golf at an affordable rate. Who's involved with what projects, and kind of, it's made a lot of wavelengths around the golf world, the news of the people involved.
Right. So at Rock Creek, we have Gil Hance. At Langston, we have Bo Welling. And at East Potomac, we have Tom Doak. Each of those guys are either donating their time or providing their time at a huge discount because they believe in these projects and what they mean and the impacts that they can have. We are actually under construction at Rock Creek right now. We have been working the last 5 years to go through what the Park Service calls the compliance process, but it's basically like all the elements of permitting to get ready for that project. And we now have the ability to start and are underway there. That course is going to be, it was originally 18 holes by William Flynn. And so it has its own architectural significance. But 3 of the holes were lost to time due to construction of a road that went through the property. So what we're going to do is bring back 9 of the original holes, create like a 9-hole course, like the Cradle, and build a driving range there where it doesn't have a range. So it kind of has that same, range to par 3 course to big course progression that East Potomac has. At Langston, the course is part of the course is on an island in the Anacostia River. It's this incredible spot where you would never know you're in the middle of the city. It's really close to the RFK Stadium site where they're going to build a new Commanders Stadium soon. And the opportunity there is to invest in bringing back some of the things that have been lost there over time. We've got a plan to bring to daylight a stream and build wetlands to help the golf course work from a flooding standpoint, but also bring topography into the course that would allow it to be a lot more interesting and functional than it was before. And then at East Potomac, with Tom, the original course was built by Walter Travis in the teens and 20s, and it was reversible. Because it didn't have much in the way of, defining topographical features, right? It was flat, and Travis was trying to think about, well, how do you maximize this golf course given that there's not a lot, there to start with? And so he took inspiration from the old course, which doesn't have a ton of up and down, but it has a lot of small scale movement, and built a course that could be played in one direction one day and the other direction the next day. Is this incredibly complex design. And it kind of goes to show, right, the original goals for all of these courses was to bring something that was world-class to public golfers, right? And that's what we want to do now, is bring back those things that have been lost to time. The Park Service is excellent at what they do, but managing golf courses is not at the top of their list. So they've let these places, and it's really through no fault of anyone other than the system kind of generally, that there's just a ton of deferred maintenance out there that needs to be addressed. And so it's a real opportunity for us to bring those courses back and to the standard that they were originally, and to maximize the ability of these places to be important to the community.
Important and profitable, right? It's not like it's a it's a I don't know what the phrase would be there, right? It's not going to be run at a loss. Like the goal is, to make this sustainable and to make this repeatable, and to be kind of a shining light of what municipal golf can be. So take us to recent news. I believe that's most of the reason why you're here speaking with us today. What is why has this been in the news lately? And can you kind of tell us a little bit about the background of what's currently going on?
Yeah, so I'll start from the beginning with this. Earlier this year, we were approached by someone from the administration who pitched us on the ability of his ability to get the president potentially interested in the projects, which, his thought was, with the president's ability to raise money and cut red tape, we could really accelerate what we're doing. His view was that we had a great set of projects. Obviously, we were on our way at Rock Creek, but but the ability to move East Potomac and Langston forward faster would be a benefit to everyone here in DC. And so obviously that was, something that we were interested in hearing more about. As the process played out, that person ended up meeting with the president in August about the projects. And really from that point, we've been sort of, I would say, kind of on the sideline a little bit as this has played out inside the administration. Obviously, as you can see with the news that came out this past weekend, the president did have interest in the projects, but it seems like the internal view of what should happen has kind of shifted from the potential for us to work together to instead the president and the administration going in a different direction, and maybe doing those projects on their own. It's a little unclear what the current plan is. But the president sat down for an interview with Wall Street Journal last Friday and kind of laid out, a bit about what his vision for the East Potomac project would be, and it's not a lot of detail, but what he said was it was different than ours. And I think what we've been trying to communicate to the administration through the last several months is that, together we can probably do this better than either of us could do it on our own. We bring obviously the expertise in the golf course business, but beyond that, we have been spending the last 5 years in these communities, getting to know the people who play the courses, and have built a lot of goodwill, with our projects that we've accomplished so far, and with the vision that we have for the future. And we also understand the complexities of the projects that are involved at these three courses. And the president, with his experience in golf course development, as well as the ability to cut red tape and raise money, could bring something to the table that, in combination with National Links Trust, could really be a win for everybody. And we have been trying to communicate in all the ways that we can that we're open to working together, and think that there's a really great future if we could, combine forces.
Where does that stand currently? Like I saw the news of
yeah.
They said you're in default.
I'm not sure it's going that well. Yeah. We received a notice of default 45 days ago. That notice didn't include a lot of detail. It was it referenced Exhibit D of our lease, which is basically a list of the improvements to the courses that we would make, and a timeline. But it didn't include any detail about what exactly in that exhibit we're in default of, what we could do to cure it, a time frame to cure it, all of which you would normally expect to see in a letter like that. Honestly, the letter was 2 sentences long. And we've asked repeatedly for that information and haven't gotten anything. And, we can't come to any other conclusion than that the intention is to terminate our lease, which is really frustrating, right? Because we've been working hand in hand with the Park Service on accomplishing these improvements since the day we took over the lease. Our lease also says that, those timelines are general and subject to change based on the compliance processes. And we've been going through compliance since we started. And now we're just now through a 5-year process to get through permitting at Rock Creek, and we're under construction. So it's really kind of hard to swallow that is the reason we're being given that we're in default. We've been told that there are some other things that the administration is looking at in terms of finding us in default, but we've been doing this with the Park Service on a daily basis, monthly reconciliations, in a really detailed way for 5 years. So it doesn't make sense to us that we would be hearing, after 5 years, that now something that major is wrong that we can't fix.
And it's not just construction and permitting everything. All this time you've been operating the golf courses as well. Right?
I mean, we've spent close to $10 million on improving the courses to date. And we have big projects at each of the courses lined up, starting with Rock Creek for the next, 5 to 10 years, right? So what I see as, something that's happening here potentially is that, we're going to be working Rock Creek. We've always envisioned East Potomac as coming last in the three. It's the best performing economically. Rock Creek loses money. So if we can turn that around and make it a business that is positive, we can help make these projects happen faster. But I think and rightly so, East Potomac is an amazing place. And there's a desire, it seems like, to move that up, to accelerate that project, which we would welcome. I mean, it makes perfect sense. If somebody wants, to make that project happen faster, and we can come up with a mechanism to do it, we're all for it. And I think that it may be that misalignment of our project schedule with, the administration's idea of what should happen that's causing some of this friction. And obviously we're open to changing that order or, doing things differently. We just have to, understand where we each are coming from and talk about the mechanism to make it happen that way.
And all three courses are tied up in that same lease agreement. Like it's not a separate lease agreement for each course.
Yeah. So all the courses are under one lease. So it's not like we could just hand over East Potomac under our lease and that would be an easy out here. Unfortunately, they're all part of the same lease. I mean, we would be open to, and we have communicated to the administration that we're open to a lot of different solutions to this. But again, we haven't heard anything in response to any of those proposals. We're just kind of sitting here. I feel like we're playing a game of telephone, which is going really badly. That's one analogy. Another analogy may be that we're standing on top of a mountain screaming into the void and no one's listening. We don't know. And it's frustrating because these are places that we've spent a lot of time on, going through these processes, building community, trying to make them better, raising a ton of money to do it. All we want is to make sure these places get the improvements that are needed, but remain affordable and accessible. That's it. That's the umbrella under which we want to work. And I think there's a ton of ways forward under that umbrella, but we need to have a conversation to talk about, what that might be, what it might look like, how we can craft it so that everybody gets what they want.
I think that's the part that is, maybe the most frustrating from where we're sitting is, we're not the ones that have put all the work into this that you guys have, but it is the beacon. It's like the shining light of what, the role that golf can play in a community, in a big city, right? I mean, there's always going to be struggles for land, and there's, a lot of things working against golf, in urban environments. But what you guys have done is fantastic, and I want that to be an example in a lot of places, which makes the fight for this, I think, really, really, really important.
Yeah, one thing that's cool about it, and we always thought this was the card that we had that other places didn't have, is these courses are in national parks. Yeah. And not only that, they're on the National Register of Historic Places as golf courses, and so they have this protection here that they will remain golf courses into the future that a lot of places don't have, which gives us this ability to say, hey, these are places that are worth investing in because they're going to be here. Doesn't matter what the pressure on land might be, like they're part of the fabric of these communities. And so, we've looked at it as this landscape to show what other places should be doing with their properties, right? Like, it's important to have accessible golf. Like these are the places that are so close to where so many people live. We've got these protections in place. If we can show how valuable and measure how valuable they are to the communities through our programming, through the number of people exposed to them, to access to non-golfers and what it can do for non-golfers in the city, all of those things we're really focused on. Then we can show other cities like, hey, they're worth protecting in the same way that they're being protected here in DC.
Yeah. I think like talking about resources too, like time is a resource, right? And having stuff that's close by that you don't have to trek, 45 minutes, an hour outside the city to go do, like that's as valuable as anything else here,
Yeah, I mean, just like golf that you can play in 2 hours or less, right? I mean, that's what's cool about this Rock Creek project. With you've got the range, you've got a par 3 course, 9-hole par 3 course, you got a 9-hole big course, all of which you can play in 2 hours or less, and all of which is within a 10-minute drive of tons and tons of people in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
And that's the truth at all of these courses. And it goes to show, if you're going to get people into golf, it needs to be something that you can bite off and not something that you have to make a special effort to do. And then once you hook people, that's when you got people who will join country clubs in the future and help make that ecosystem healthy. But you don't get that feeder system working unless you have places like this where people get exposed to the game in the first place.
Yeah. No, I think that you're the example of that alone, right? If you're cutting off access to a place like this, there's not going to be, someone like you 30 years from now or whatever that might be that can be a steward of the game in some way. I think the 3 places I grew up playing the most are all gone now. They're all houses now, right? And if that just continues, then the game, the bottom, the entry point into the game is gonna, it's gonna cut off the top eventually. It might not be next year, it may not be in 10 years, but eventually it's gonna be trouble. So.
Weird,
agreed.
Weird diversion here. Where does the debris from the White House ballroom into this story?
Yeah. Well, we lived this. Obviously, it's been reported pretty extensively now, but the dirt under the ballroom, the dirt that's being excavated there, is ending up on the white course at East Potomac. The whole process of how that happened, I'm going based on details that were reported in the Wall Street Journal the other day. But as I understand it, there was a meeting involving the Department of the Interior and the president about what to do with that material. And the first thought was to spread it on the ellipse and create a flatter area for the temporary stadium that would host the UFC event on July 4th. And I think that was being taken really seriously. And at that meeting, Secretary Burgum suggested that maybe instead it should go to the golf course, because he knew that any renovation of the golf course would require fill. And I think the president liked that idea. And very, very quickly afterwards, the dirt started coming to East Potomac. What's interesting about that is I'm not sure it does much for a big renovation there, because you're going to have to pick it up and move it again. But that seems to be the idea that led to that situation that we're having kind of continue on at East Potomac still today.
Yeah. Looking ahead, I mean, I think, it sounds like you guys are amenable to like a range of outcomes as long as it's in line with your mission, right? Of affordable, accessible, independent of the lease and everything that's going on. Like what's the timeline right now for Langston, East Potomac, Rock Creek, and kind of if you were left to your own devices and on the current fundraising path, like how, what does the future look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like I said, we're under construction at Rock Creek. And it took 5 years of the compliance process to get there. We are going to be doing that project for the next 2.5 years. So the next year and a half will be the construction of the clubhouse, maintenance facility, and driving range there. That will reopen in the spring of 2027. That's kind of the first phase of the project. The second phase would be the Gilhance renovation of the golf course, which overlaps with the first phase, but would open kind of the later in that same year. That project will be going on while we are doing the compliance effort at Langston. So we've been pushing the Langston project forward for the same amount of time as Rock Creek, but it's a lot more complicated than Rock Creek. The golf course sits on a city dump. That's the place that was given to the Royals and the Wake Robins to build their course back in the 20s or the 30s. Sorry. And so because of the material underneath, handling that potential contamination is a tricky thing. And so we've been working to test the soils and and figure out what exactly we can do, how we need to handle it in the context of that stream daylighting and building the wetlands that would go with that project. But we would anticipate finishing the compliance during the Rock Creek project so that we could start at Langston right as soon as the Rock Creek project is finished. Then, we would be doing the same at East Potomac while the Langston project is happening. And East Potomac is very complicated too, because there's major drainage issues that are happening there, and there's a seawall around the outside which needs to be fixed, and that's like a $400 million public project that the timeline around is like really uncertain. Ideally, we'd be doing our project at the same time that the seawall project is happening. So if we're trying to think about what could change a timeline here, if the seawall project happens earlier, you can envision accelerating East Potomac so that it's happening at the same time. Like, we can't drain that course unless we know where the drains are going and how to tie into it. Mm-hmm. And right now, water from the river comes back onto the course. That's the direction that this happens. And so we need to reverse that. And yeah, bringing in fill material would be helpful to fix all the drainage problems that happen out there. And all of those things are, require a really big planning effort to make happen. So as we've always envisioned these projects, we want to make sure there's always access to golf in the city. So we had always seen them as, you do one, Rock Creek first, worst performer, turn that around, go to Langston, make that investment there, finish that project, then go to East Potomac. And East Potomac is the one that generates the most money. So the longer we can keep that one going, the more money we have to accomplish the other projects, and then eventually finish the East Potomac project. So that was the rationale. That doesn't mean that's the only way to go about it, right? It's just that's the logical way that we had laid it out. That's the way the Park Service had agreed, to us doing the projects. But we're totally open to changing that order, like I said earlier.
We've talked some architecture, we've talked Tom Doe, we talked big names in the course of this, but can you give us an example or some examples maybe of what else you guys got going on in terms of how this serves the community and things that you're proud of?
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? Like, I come to this in the same way that we've had this conversation. I work for Tom Doak. I'm really into golf architecture, and knowing the histories of these courses, it really felt like an incredible opportunity from an architectural perspective. But the thing that I've taken away the most from this is just how these are more than golf courses; they're communities, and the ability to do things at these courses that make a difference in the community. And getting to know those community members has been like the biggest impact on me personally as part of this. Just to give some examples of the types of things, we started a workforce development program at Langston that we're expanding to the other courses, including Rock Creek when we're done with it. This year we had 30 interns. They're high school age kids from DC, paid internships, learning the business of golf. And they get, opportunity to get scholarships for college at the end of the program. Getting to know those kids, watching their development has been like really impactful to me. We also have a caddy program at Langston and East Potomac where caddies are free to golfers, and it's a paid program as well through the Evans Scholar Program. And we actually sent our first Evans Scholar to college on a full scholarship last year at Rutgers. And we have 4 kids up for the scholarship this year. Wow. And so seeing that program grow and thrive has been really great. We run free lesson Fridays throughout the warm seasons of the year, so spring, summer, fall, where once a month we have the ability for anyone in the community to come out to the golf courses and get free lessons at the driving range, access to clubs and balls, and you don't need to do anything but just show up. And we've had such a great reaction to that. I mean, each time we do it, we have to have a waiting list, 300, 400 plus people sign up, and we have to cut it off because of the demand for it. And another thing is just the impact of these courses on the surrounding environment. Like, we've been removing a ton of invasive vegetation, from the courses since we started. But just last weekend, we had an event at Langston where we removed 8,000 pounds of trash and scrap metal from Kingman Lake, which is adjacent to the golf course. And that's in combination with a ton of community partners that, you know, wouldn't have been exposed to the golf courses other than through programs like that. So it's that these are big spots, big pieces of land in the middle of a big city. It's more than just golf. And it's cool to be able to show and expose people to the value that the golf courses can bring.
If I was to direct people somewhere to follow your guys' story and how things are progressing, where might people find that information?
Yeah, you can follow us on National Links Trust on Instagram or Twitter, and or sign up for our mailing list online with nationallinkstrust.org is the place to go for that. Obviously, there's a lot of news happening right now, and so we're trying to communicate the value of what we've done so far, but also show, you know, that there's this real opportunity going forward that you know is something that we can do together with the administration to you know, accomplish these goals.
You guys are growing the game.
Like, seriously, the real way, not the ones the big executives tell us that they're doing. So, what's the reaction been like that you guys have received from recent, you know, developments and kind of the general buzz around the community?
Yeah, we've gotten so much support from people who've watched what we've been doing, have been part of what we've been doing for the last 5 years, and that feels really good. In fact, just yesterday, Will and I were having breakfast at Langston, and somebody came up to us wearing an NLU hat, and just kind of walked through how his story of learning golf at East Potomac, and then he's a regular out at Langston now, kind of mirrors my story of growing up at these places. And hearing stories like that is really meaningful. It makes you feel like what we've been doing has had an impact on the community and is building towards something bigger. And just to say, like, you know, with that NLU hat, right, I really think that there's such a massive overlap of, you know, our community and your community. When we're walking the driving range at Langston or at East Potomac, you know, every third bag has an NLU towel on it. There's, you know, I think people want to feel an ownership over places that they spend a lot of time at, and feel part of the community at. And one of the things that's powerful about National Links Trust is it really does feel like a community-driven effort to make these places better, and bringing people into that, making them feel a part of it, is what helps make these stories really powerful and make these things happen in the end. And so, you know, whether it's through you all, you know, telling the good word about golf and how it impacts people, or the work we're doing here in DC, I think this is kind of the future of making golf, you know, as like you said, it's you know, growing the game is overused, but that's really what we're doing together.
Golf needs stewards like you and Will as well. So I would congratulate you guys, and want to thank you for your time today. And I know you'll have the full support of our community as you guys take on the challenges ahead as well. So really appreciate your time, Mike. Thanks for spending a Sunday with us.
Thank you, guys.